Let's take a look at Quake's power and the question that is coming up. Her power says pinpoint earthquakes or just earthquakes. Quake. When Quake uses it, you may choose one. Choose an unoccupied square within her range, and she may use Quake as if she occupied that square. Or Quake can use Giant Reach X, where X is her click number. For reference, Quake the power is a close power, gives knockback, make a close attack, targeting all adjacent opposing characters. If more than one character is targeted, each hit character is dealt 2 damage instead of normal damage. The question is, when Quake uses Quake, as if she occupied the chosen square, would the character be knocked back from that chosen square? Now let's take a look at what they rolled. It looks like the Wizkids ruling is, yes, she is considered to occupy the chosen square specifically for the purposes of Quake, which includes the knockback key phrase. Note that for other game effects, such as targeting her with probability control, the effect would still need to use the actual square she occupies. The second question on Quake is, when Quake uses Quake as if she occupied the chosen square, would she also be able to Quake a character currently adjacent to her physical square, as well as the square she picked for her special attack power? That was ruled as no. So once she makes that choice, she gets to use Quake as if she occupied that square. So it's as if she occupied the square, which means Quake and any of the knockback associated with Quake is based off of the square she chose, not where she is physically located. Quake's power reminded me of the similar wording on Slate. Slate is a super effective character. His wording is, for his special attack power, our power is a sacred honor. Slate can use Barrier. When he does, after actions resolve, he may use Pulse Wave as a free action, as if he occupied the same square as one of the placed markers. The key terms in both of those power is the as if he occupied. We're going to go to the board and look at how both of those characters can be used in a few different ways to get the most advantage out of those powers.
Let's take a look at how Quake's power works on the battlefield. Here we have Quake sitting in hindering terrain, behind blocking, and on elevation, a very safe position. Now, as you remember, her power says that she can place that Quake marker within her range. Her range is 5. So we have Zemo sitting 6 squares away. Quake could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and place the Quake marker here. Potentially hitting Zemo and knocking him back into the wall from that very safe position. Okay, let's look at another scenario on how Quake's power can work to your advantage. Here we have Red Skull and Baron Zemo hiding out in elevation inside in a room. In the middle squares, so a relatively safe position. We have Quake outside, sitting and hindering in the starting area. And we have Namor over here also sitting in his water and in hindering. Again, Quake's power is within 5, her range. She can place that Quake marker. So she could place it here. She doesn't need to see, it's blocked out because of the wall. Potentially quaking from this spot. That could push Red Skull into the wall with knockback damage. And it could potentially hit Zemo off of the elevation, taking that damage, and putting him in position for a follow-up charge from Namor. So again, extremely useful, not just for the ability to do it within range, but also keep in mind the positioning to pull your opponent into follow-up distance in addition to just the simple knockback damage.
Okay, let's take a quick look at Slate and 2 examples of how you could use him. His special power says Slate can use Barrier. When he does, after actions resolve, he may use Pulse Wave as a free action as if he occupied the same square as one of the placed markers. Okay, let's take a look at that on the battlefield. So right now we have Slate and Lydia, and their opponents are the world's finest, Batman, Superman. So Slate can use Barrier. So if he puts out his barrier marker right up here on the hindrance, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the barrier is adjacent in clear squares, first one being placed within his line of sight, and all the barriers are within his range, which is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then he can use Pulse Wave as if he occupied one of the barrier markers that he placed. So we could choose this marker. His Pulse Wave would cut his range in half, so it would be 3. Targeting across that elevation, 1, 2, 3. And since there's a line of fire to Batman, it would be targeting both of them. Okay, that would be outside of where Lydia's at. Since she's on a lower elevation, the pulse wave doesn't ignore elevation, so she would be safe for not getting caught in that pulse wave range. Let's take a look at another way you could use Slate's barrier pulse wave combination. Okay, on this one we still have Slate and Lydia on the same force, going against Mix and Nightwing Batgirl. These two are next to each other, but if we want to try to isolate one of them for a single target pulse wave, we could use Slate's barrier to place 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Slate should be able to see this square, put in the other barrier markers adjacent to each other. They're all within his range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then he would choose the barrier marker he wants the pulse wave from. Since pulse wave doesn't ignore blocking terrain or elevation, we could pulse wave from here. This would block the pulse wave from going to Lydia, even though she's out of range. These two would block the pulse wave going to Mix. So this is how you could get a single target pulse wave with Slate's special power. So the placement of the barriers, not just to extend his range and be able to pulse wave far, but even better is you can use it to isolate and protect. So you can protect your own character if it's an in-close situation and you want to get a pulse wave against the opponents, or you can use it to try to isolate your opponents for a single target pulse wave. So lots of applications there. Go ahead and let us know any other ones that you like to use.
Check it out. If you dig what we do, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.